Today on With the First Pick, we're rolling out our offensive and defensive rookie of the year rankings, and there will be some surprises, Rick, but because it's Tuesday, we have to start things off with everyone's favorite segment, or Rick Actions. But first, I'm Ryan Wilson. That's Rick Spielman. This is episode 205. And Rick, before we get going, how many days into the 2025 NFL Draft?
It's coming upon us there, Mr. Wilson, GM Wilson, Ryan Wilson, whatever you want to be referred to. But there are 135 days left until the 2025 NFL Draft.
It's a-coming. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button. But also, Rick is at his second undisclosed location of the week. And here's the thing, if you can tell us where Rick is, Rick will buy you a bag of popcorn. How about that?
Yeah.
Because there's some hints in the background. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's in an undisclosed location, but if anyone can figure out where I'm at, maybe our fine producer and Ivy Tower boss, Devo can maybe give a parting gift to anyone who can guess where I'm at. It's almost like Where's Waldo? And you said, you fire up the old With the First Pick RV and head up the hill to Syracuse games.
Yeah.
I'm going a few other different places. And if anyone can guess my location, where I'm at during some of these podcasts in the future, maybe we can give a parting gift away or two. Is there like $10 gift certificate to Jimmy John's or whatever
Jimmy
we have?
I offered up a bag of popcorn. I guess you didn't want to give the bag of popcorn, so now it's on Devo's plate to figure out the who's going to get the With the First Pick T-shirt. By the way, just so we're clear, I do have, in fact, the With the First Pick RV. You are in the With the First Pick PJ. That's how.
Yeah.
That's how this thing's.
Yeah, Devo let me use the private jet to go about the country where I'm going this time of year.
All right, so Rick has one of his side jobs, helping save the world, one side job at a time. But in the meantime, Rick, it's time for Over Rick Actions. Premise is pretty simple. Have a couple of topics from the NFL weekend. Rick doesn't know what they are, but we get his reactions in real time. All right, let's get to it. So I have a handful of questions here, Rick, and we're even going to throw in a college football related Over Rick Actions for the first time. We're at that point in the college football calendar, had some games on Saturday that were, depending on your perspective, mildly to extremely disappointing. Spoiler alert, Debo was very happy with the way his Penn State Nittany Lions played, even though they lost that game. So the arrow's pointing up on that team, according to Debo. But here's the first Over Rick Action question for you, Rick, coming from the NFL. And I just scribbled this down as the Raiders continue to struggle at the quarterback position. Aiden O'Connell's got a bone bruise on his knee. I think he'll be out this week. So Des Ridder will get to play. But if you're the Raiders, Rick, knowing what you know as of right now, would you rather have Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr.? And you would have to trade up to get those guys? Or the best player on planet Earth, Brock Bowers?
Wow. Brock Bowers, to me, has had a phenomenal rookie year, and we'll talk about that. I'm sure, in the near future on this podcast on where he stacks up for Rookie of the Year honors.
He didn't make my Offensive Player of the Year rankings, just so you know.
Yeah, I didn't make him, or defense, or
neither.
Did I make
year?
Was I in the honorable mention podcast
Not
player
you,
of the year?
Brock. Brock didn't make my list.
Oh, God.
You made it.
Okay. Thank God we're going to get that corrected here later down in the show. I would say this, with the situation the Raiders are in now, I would say I've taken Brock Bowers and I'm going to get either Ward or Sanders. And I would go with that combination and moving up. I would take one of these two quarterbacks with Brock Bowers on my team going forward for the Raiders.
Okay, so let's see. First of all, the Raiders are picking number 1, so they're in prime position to get a quarterback, so they don't have to trade up. Number 2, I'll take this a step further. Would you rather have Bo Nix and Colston Loveland, for example, in this draft class, or would you rather have Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders and Brock Bowers?
I'm taking option number 2.
Okay.
Cam Ward, Sanders, and Brock. I just think Bowers is that special of a talent.
He is that special. And there's no trade up involved, at least as we sit here, because in last year's draft, you would have had to trade up from 13, at least one spot to get a Bo Nix, and then 4 or 5 spots to get one of those other quarterbacks. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. You're putting a lot on what Cam Ward and or Shedeur Sanders looks like at the next level, but having someone like Brock Bowers, you could argue is more valuable than having someone like Malik Nabers or Marvin Harrison Jr. just because he's more likely to be targeted in the middle of the field, and you can use them like Malik Nabers or Marvin Harrison Jr. down the sidelines if you want to.
He creates mismatches, and The one thing that I'll say is that, at least from the reports that I've read, that Sanders and Ward are jockeying for that number 1 overall pick, and both are scheduled to play, even though they're not in the playoffs, into that bowl game. Roll the ball out. They're checking the box in that area for me. So I've fallen in love with both those guys right now.
I was going to say that just raises the level for each of them. There's no X next to their name for not participating when participation was available to you. So congratulations to Shedeur and Cam for being true football players, true throwbacks, making Rick Spielman very happy. All right, that was pretty straightforward. I don't disagree with that. I think Brock Bowers it's been so good that it's hard to get in the time machine and not take him again. All right, let's go to this one. And for me, and I was talking to Debo about this yesterday when we were having one of our secret meetings while you were off saving the world. The Chiefs keep winning. I don't know. Every year we say we don't know how long this can last the way they're winning. And every year they go to the Super Bowl and usually win it. But to me, this year feels like the Super Bowl year where they faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and lost to Tom Brady because they could not protect Patrick Mahomes. And in that game in particular, he had a very long evening, Patrick Mahomes did. And he's had some long evenings recently. Kingsley Sumatea hasn't worked, the rookie second-round pick at left tackle. Wanya Morris hasn't worked, and he's had a knee injury at times. The draft pick from 2 years ago at left tackle. They went out and got DJ Humphries, who was at home on the street rehabbing from ACL surgery from last year. He started this game most recently and had to leave with a hammy injury. And I think, I'll double check, but I think that Patrick Mahomes was pressured 8 times in the first half, maybe 13 or something overall. And they won the game in the last second play. You say this all the time. There are no guys on the street. DJ Humphrey was the last left tackle on the street. How are you solving this issue with a month to go and then another month if you make it to the Super Bowl?
Left tackle or the is
this
yeah
left tackle. Not the quarterback settled, the left tackle situation.
It is what it is. So there's
that ain't great.
No, but it is what it is. There's not, you don't grow them off a tree, and I don't think there's going to be one popping off a tree here in December to insert at left tackle. So that's an issue that they're going to have to deal with. They're going to have to deal with it going through the playoffs. And they have won, I don't know how many games on, Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game last week against the Chargers, made a great play, avoiding that hit and getting the first down and then putting it in position to kick the field goal. So, but at some point, I don't know if this lasts for the whole time during the playoffs. And you've won
Mr.
game.
GM, you need to fix the left tackle position. I'm asking you to fix it.
Okay, what do you want me to do? Like I said, there's not a tree of left tackles that haven't sprouted yet. The only thing we can do is fix it in the offseason. Right now, it is what it is. So you, head coach, figure out how we can help to protect the left tackle by chipping or doing whatever we have to do, because there's nothing you can do right now. Can't trade. Right. You can't sign anyone who's worth crap. You're going to bring a guy off a practice squad? Come on. What? You're asking me to fix a left tackle position now? Really? God.
So
you can't. You are what you are.
You are what you are. So they have they kicked Joe Tooney out to left tackle last game when they had to take Wanya Morris off the field. DJ Humphrey's going to have an MRI on his hammy. We'll see where it's at, but typically hamstring injury of any kind, you're not coming back in 1 week. So, right, they're going to have to figure this out, whether that means running the ball more often or whether they're going to have to give help to the left tackle and chip whomever's the edge rusher. They got to sort this out because it just feels like you can't keep letting Patrick Mahomes take hits and risking, forget an injury, which is very serious, but just losing games that you should be winning because you can't protect your quarterback.
Yeah, but they're not losing games or winning games, but they're winning.
Not now. Would you feel good about the left tackle situation going into the playoffs?
I don't feel good about the left tackle situation going into this week. Why would I feel differently going into the playoffs?
Right.
That's not a very smart question.
Okay, I can't even push back on that. All right, next up, I don't know if you saw. Oh, let's go here. This one's not on the ask sheet here, but do you watch Monday Night Football at all? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw. I saw part of it.
Did you see the block punt at the end?
Yes, I saw the clips of it.
All right. Let's go to the working suite and ask the veggie tray how it's doing after Amani Oruwariye decided to pick up the block punt in Bengals field position, which could have set up the game-winning field goal from a very good kicker for the Cowboys. You saw the special teams coach for the Cowboys, Bones, celebrating, don't touch the ball, and then out of nowhere, Aurier comes and touches the ball and covered by the Bengals, game over. So what's going on in the working suite with the veggie trays? And then what's the conversation as you walk down? How many times, how big is the number you're counting to as you walk down to the locker room?
Now, I'm counting down from 100. The veggie tray is plastered into the wall. There's ranch dressing right now that they're going to have to come in and power wash the suite because everything was flying everywhere. That is a situation, and it comes down, and we're seeing it all the time, game management stuff and players understanding the situation. And I'm sure they practice it. I'm sure they've been through it because I've sat in 100 special teams meetings with coaches. And in the springtime, one of the things they do is they take clips from games like this and they show them. And then, okay, in this situation, don't do this. In this situation, don't do that. Some of the special teams coaches that I were with on the night before the game, you go to your hotel, right? You have your offensive meetings, your defensive meetings, but before it's special teams meetings. Some of the coaches, what I thought were a great idea, would put up game situations like this. So, for example, what happened in that Dallas game? Most of us, I think a good special team coach would show that clip to the players. You talk about it during the week, but the night before the game, show this play and what happened and why it happened, and we can't do this. It's like, don't hit a gunner when he's out of bounds because that's a penalty if you're over the gunner and you run him out of bounds and you hit him when he's out. So there are clips these special teams coaches make that they show during the spring. I'm sure they go over during training camp. Like I said, the really good special teams coaches I've been with, Ryan Ficken being one at the LA Chargers, show clips of game management situations on Saturday nights before the game on Sunday, just put a reminder in these players. I don't know what happened or why it happened, but it was one of those unfortunate bonehead mistakes that cost them a game.
I would say 100% that had been conveyed to the players. They knew that you can't touch a punt after it's been blocked. And I would just imagine
there's a term called Peter, you know, whatever.
Yeah, right.
And people waving to get away from the ball. And that for whatever reason, that player decided to, you know, try to be a hero. And
I don't even know if it's that. Aurier, I think he played for the Lions for a little bit. I just wonder if his brain short-circuited in the moment and he thought, I got to recover this. And he, you know, instinct took over instead of coaching. Because you can ask, I don't know if they did, if they asked Mike McCarthy after the game, why did that player do that? It had nothing to do with coaching. I can't, to your point,
No.
I'm sure they talked about it millions of times. But you can't go out there and play the game for him, as the old saying goes. And so if Jerry Jones turns around to you in the working suite and says, hey, what happened? You're like, look, man, we pay this guy to make plays and he did the wrong thing. That's sort of the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bonehead play. It's been covered by the coaches. And I think Mike McCarthy even addressed it in the press conferences on that. Yeah, we've been through this scenario. That if you block a punt, don't touch it, especially if it goes, you know, beyond the line of scrimmage. But just when a block a punt, there's a term, Peter, or whatever you want to call it. And you see guys doing this all the time in games after a block punt.
Yeah.
And it just didn't register, unfortunately, for that player.
All right. Well, let's follow up with this. What's the best way to deal with that with the player specifically? Because you can yell and scream at him, but that's not going to help anyone.
You're not going to yell and scream at the kid. The kid's probably devastated.
Right.
Okay. So it's a mistake. It cost us the game, but you're encouraging. To me, the kid probably knows that it was a huge mistake, cost him the game. Why beat him up even more after the game? Or, and it sounded like some teammates even tried to rally around him because it's made a mistake. But to me, the worst thing you can do is pour more salt on an open wound because you may lose that kid. It's literally, mentally, if you keep pounding it in the kid. And that's
by the way,
fair to the kid.
You may need him at some point.
Yes.
And that also helps. By the way, Debo, cut that clip so Rick, you can replay it for Rick when he's yelling at me about asking stupid questions. You build people up with honey, not with vinegar, Rick.
except on this podcast.
Except on this podcast. All right. Yeah, I just want to throw that at you as I was watching that last night, shaking my head, going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened." Because it's
Did
so
you think
frustrating.
Did you think veggie tray, ranch dressing, dripping down a wall? Is that the first thing that popped in your head?
We should get a sponsorship from some veggie company because as often as we talk about the veggie tray, yeah, I mean, it's so hard to block a punt, number one, and then for 2.5 seconds you can enjoy it until the mistake and the game, and you just can't give Joe Burrow another chance. Joe Burrow, the toughest person on planet Earth, by the way. All right, next up, let's go to another quarterback who got banged up pretty good on Sunday. Derek Carr went flying through the air, landed on his hands and his face. I think he's in concussion protocol, but he broke his left hand. So there's not going to be a surgery, and maybe there's a chance he comes back by the end of the year. In the meantime, it's going to be Jake Haener and or our guy Spencer Rattler. But I wanted to ask you this.
Your guy. Let's not
my guy.
use the
I'm
word
fine,
"are."
I think I got my Spencer shirt on underneath this, too.
Yeah.
I was celebrating the idea of Spencer getting back on the field, even though he's 0-3. He's going to fix that. Give him a chance. But currently the Saints pick 11th, Rick, and that's in no man's land if you're looking for a quarterback. And I wrote the Saints are in quarterback purgatory, middle of the pack, older QB who has 2 years left on his deal. Are you going like Derek is 14-13 in his starts for New Orleans, which might be good enough in that division if he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy the entire time. Are you thinking about looking for another quarterback? Are you asking about Kirk Cousins? In fact, I went and looked.
I don't know if I would ask about Kirk
Yeah, I
Cousins
know.
the way he's
That's the
played
other
the
thing.
last 4 weeks either.
So let me give you some names of some guys, not necessarily going to be free agents, but guys you can even trade for, because I think there are going to be some quarterbacks possibly traded for, because Justin Fields and Andy Dalton, those are the guys that may be available in terms of just free agency. Geno Smith has a year on his deal. Davis Mills is out there. Sam Howell.
Ugh.
Brock Purdy, do you think that's something that...
That's a question I'm going to ask you, Mr. GM. Okay, you have a decision to make this offseason on Brock Purdy. And if I'm Brock Purdy's agent, I'm asking for 50 plus a year, just like everybody else got.
Yeah.
I got you the 2 Super Bowl. I got you Super Bowls. I got you the NFC Championship games. Why not? Why can't I get it? Tua got it, and I've had more success on the field as far as getting my team to advance than Tua has. So why wouldn't I use Tua right off the bat as an example?
And he should. If I'm the 49ers, I'm paying Brock Purdy. Everyone and their brother on that team, including the equipment manager's hurt. So that to me says there's only some. And Brock Purdy, they put a whooping on the Bears.
We play good against the Bears. That tells you.
I would pay him.
Yeah.
But I don't know how John Lynch feels about it. So I don't know if they think they'd like to use their money elsewhere or what.
What are they going to do if they don't have Brock Purdy? And what does he do to you to ask me again in the dumb bucket question?
He's fired up, Debo. He must have went to bed at 11 o'clock and got up at 5 a.m.
It's this overreaction thing that gets me stirred up.
Dumb bucket. We're going to have a dumb bucket over here, and
Yeah.
we'll put the questions in there.
Yeah, the dumb bucket question.
I would 100% resign him and pay him $55 million a year and not think twice about it. But I don't know what they're thinking about.
And I guess if you think they're going to go in a different direction, who are they going to go with?
Again, maybe this is the time that
how about this theory, since we're in the dumb bucket category?
We're in the dumb bucket portion of overreactions. What do you got?
Sign Sam Darnold to come back. He was there for a year. How about that conspiracy theory?
Sam's a good one. Okay, so now there's a bidding war between the 49ers and potentially the Saints for Sam Darnold. Would you rather have Sam
or the
Darnold?
Vikings? I would. If I was Minnesota, why wouldn't you keep Sam Darnold?
What are you doing with JJ?
He's a rookie. He's going to start over from scratch. He didn't do anything this year. He's not practicing. He's sitting in meetings. He's rehabbing. He hasn't done one thing since that surgery except rehab, throw the ball on the side maybe, but he's not practicing. So you're starting from square one with him. Why not do a potential bridge deal like a Baker Mayfield, 3-year, $100 million deal?
How much?
Don't know.
3-year,
Maybe
how many?
he is. 100 mil.
Oh, okay. That's more reasonable. I didn't hear the number. Okay.
Yeah, you don't listen. That's what if someone that gives them a 3-year, $100 million deal?
Yeah. Okay. But you're okay. You didn't do that with Case Keenum and Teddy, though. Teddy had played previously.
Yeah, well, Teddy was going to get a big deal till
Yeah.
The unfortunate, disastrous knee injury. That's
Yeah.
a different situation.
Case.
Case.
You're also
Case has played great that 1 year,
Yeah.
but, would you say Darnold's better than Case Keenum?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the dumb bucket answer.
But the thing is, he's only had 1 year productivity. You talk about that all the time. Literally 1 year since being drafted 6 or 7 years ago, however long ago that was.
Right. But Kevin O'Connell to me should be mentioned as one of the coaches of the year. Look at what he's done with the quarterbacks. He should be recognized as one of the top quarterback gurus in the NFL right now.
Agreed.
And what he's done, even when Kirk was there, Kirk had his best years under Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, not so much now. And maybe it's Achilles, maybe it's something else. One other follow-up to that. So if JJ sits next year, because as you point out, basically his rookie season, you're okay just going 2 years on his rookie deal to see what you have in JJ?
Yeah, look at what Green Bay did with Jordan Love. Look what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. There is, if you count next year as rookie year, Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. So if I sit him for 2 years, why not?
He's not in the mood today, Debo. Not in the mood. All right, so back to the Saints. What are you doing? You stick with Derek Carr for 2 more years, or are you going to try something else?
It depends who's going to be the head coach. Is it a tear down? Who's the offensive coordinator? Derek Carr gives you the best chance to win. You're right purgatory on right in the middle of going to heaven or hell in the quarterback world. You go, who's the next young guy? Would you take a swing at Debo's Drew Aller all of a sudden coming to surface after a fine performance in the Big Ten championship game?
All right, that's a great segue because that's the final question on my overreactions.
Oh, God, look at that. We've done so many shows together. We're almost thinking for each other now.
And I think Debo brainwashes all this Drew Aller nonsense. He thinks that we're in the cult of Drew now, thanks to Debo. But that said, Drew Aller played pretty freaking good in the loss over the weekend to Oregon. Oregon, right? With so many games going on. And you couple that with, and I talked to you about this the other day, Quinn Ewers makes me very angry because he should be so much better, and he's so frustratingly doesn't show up in big moments. Average. Oh, my gosh, it drives me crazy. Carson Beck got hurt. Wasn't exactly like he was setting the world on fire before he got hurt. I don't think he's going to be available. I think it's a UCL injury, they're saying, so he could be out for the rest of the campaign because that's not something you come back from right away. We'll find out. But either way, Drew Aller outplayed those two, and if you're selling yourself on the physical tools, and maybe he needs a J.J. McCarthy like 1 or 2 year redshirt situation, who's QB3 right now?
Boy, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I can't. I really can't. And we're going off the cardinal sin of going off one game.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Say it.
I have to go with Drew Aller as number 3 right now off of one game.
Debo, rain down the confetti. I don't know if there's a confetti button, but we should hit it. All right, go ahead. What's your sell that to the
But I would tell Debo that if he does come out, I would be very, very disappointed because I think Penn State, with him a quarterback next year, may have a legitimate chance of making a run at this thing. And it will help him tremendously. And he'll make more money coming back next year.
Let me ask you this. I think Debo said this to me yesterday. I don't think it was
It's the first time he didn't look like Mr. Roboto out there playing quarterback.
And he's a really good athlete. And sometimes you forget that because he's so big. But I think Debo's your comp too was Josh Allen, Big Ben, like all the athletic quarterbacks. But Debo's point yesterday was this. These games are dragging on so long, January 20th potentially in the college. And I don't know what the date is to opt in or opt out of the NFL draft. And then you're also the portal, the recruiting kids coming in. If you're James Franklin, what are you selling at the quarterback position if you're trying to get a running back or wide receiver or tight end to come in there? You don't know. What are you doing with that? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's a hard, is he coming back or not coming back? Maybe they know that he's coming back. So if not, because I think the portal is open now, right? It opens until the end of the month. It closes.
So there's that to sort through.
Yeah, before all this stuff even ends.
Hey, Debo, are you there?
I'm here.
In your heart of hearts, is Drew Aller a top 32 pick right now?
Yes.
He didn't even hesitate, Rick.
Would you like
I
to see
think-
Drew Aller come back?
Oh, even better question.
No, not if he's a guaranteed first-round pick. I think he should go.
I don't think he's a guaranteed first-round pick.
He didn't
Well,
hurt
he's
himself
got
this weekend, but I agree. Go ahead, Eva.
4 more games to showcase potentially.
Or one more game to throw 3 picks, and then we're.
That would probably lead towards coming back to school if that happens.
So you're saying out of all, and you know what's the interesting thing about this whole college football playoff? It's the first time guys have an opportunity to really take them to another level, because it's like an NFL season, right? Now you got the best of the best. You got a playoff. Who's going to go win the gold national championship? It's the Super Bowl of college football. Guys that are on the borderline, and if Drew Aller plays to the level he played at in the Big Ten championship game and excels through the playoffs, then there's an argument, yeah, he's the number 3 quarterback. If he flops on his face and we see some of the stuff we saw during the season, then he needs to come back to school. So there's on all these kids, all the Ohio State kids, all, you go across the board, that Georgia kids, they have a really unique opportunity to elevate their draft stock, because some of the guys that they're being compared against, or if they're stacked on your board like this, they're watching at home. They're done. Their resume is written, at least from a college film standpoint. These guys have a whole nother season to really help their stock improve, which has never been done before.
Right.
It's first year.
Penn State, just very realistically, they're 7.5-point favorites versus SMU. The look-ahead line for Boise State, their quarterfinal matchup is Penn State by 12.5. So that's not just the bias. That's Penn State should be playing a minimum of 3 games in these playoffs. It looks like January 27th, which is a week after the national championship, is really the final day for players to declare or revoke their submissions if they had declared.
All right.
Yeah, because usually it was in the middle of January. Remember, by the 15th, 17th of January was the final date, but now they pushed it back because of the playoffs.
So I think that means we'll be in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and there are going to be a truckload of players coming in that I wasn't prepared to talk about who declared at the last minute. Unfair to me.
So just to let me follow this up. So a January 24th deadline to petition for special eligibility for championship game participants was established. On the opposite end, an early soft deadline of Monday, January 6, 2025 will be put into place for players whose seasons have been completed at an earlier date.
And you're seeing some of these guys declare now
Yeah.
that are coming out, that are done, basically.
Yeah, we talked about Josh Simmons, the left tackle from Ohio State, declared. Mason Graham declared, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
The one thing that you have to be careful of, they can declare, but it's not finalized. You can't finalize it till their special eligibility is granted to them by the NFL. So you may see some guys, a la Cam Ward last year, remember, declared
Yep.
and pulled back. And some of these guys need to assess where they're at, because they may think they know where they're going, but with all the committees that the NFL puts in, and you get the grades back from all these teams to at least try to give these kids an education and to make a better decision, you may see some get pulled back that say, I'm going to come back to school.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, Debo's backup quarterback, Kenny Pickett, returned to school at Pitt because he had day 3 grades after his junior season and ended up being the first-round pick and the future in Philadelphia after they trade Jalen Hurts to the Saints. All right, one last thing quickly before we take a break, Rick. I wanted to ask you this. We talked about it last week, but I'll bring it up again because Kirk Cousins went to Minnesota, threw 2 more interceptions. That game was close for a while, then it ended up being not very close. The Falcons are currently 6-7. They've lost 4 in a row. They're no longer in first place in the division, tied with the Bucks. And the remaining schedule is this. In fact, let me tell you, they are 9th in the playoff race. So 2 spots out of the final playoff, behind only the Rams, who are red hot. The remaining schedule are the Raiders, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers. conceivably 4 wins there, or 3 wins at the very least. That Commanders game will be tough. Any thought to rolling with Michael Penix Jr.?
Not yet. I think Raheem came out and said Cousins is their quarterback, regardless of the 4-game struggle. And watching, he's a shell of himself. So at some point, if let's say, I think they're going to have a tough decision to make if they lose this week, because
Okay.
that's going to really make it tough for them to get into the playoffs. And do you start? At what point do you sit down with the owner, the GM, and the head coach and make that determination of moving forward for the future? But I don't think it's this week. But I think if they lose again this week, that you're going to have to seriously have those type of conversations going forward.
And their next game I mentioned is at Vegas on Monday night for the world to see. So if you lose to Des Ridder and the Raiders, yowzers. All right, so we'll revisit that next week, potentially, depending on how things go. First, actually right now, though, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. Going to unveil the Rick. My Rookie of the Year picks. We'll get his picks, and we'll do all that right after this.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
All right, Rick. Going to look at our offensive and defensive Rookie of the Years through 14 weeks. And Debo, I don't know if you're able to do it in reverse order. Picks. We have our top 5 each and some honorable mentions. We'll do our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and unveil in real time my picks to Rick, so you can be pleasantly surprised or extremely angry. You never know how these things go. Oh, nice, Debo.
Oh,
Number 5.
wait. As I'm looking at this, I don't see. Is this offense or defense?
We'll do offense first.
Okay.
You see at the bottom of the tab there, it says Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's not a great graphic, but it's fine.
It's a spreadsheet, something that all the peons have to do while you're sitting in your ivory tower with your feet up on the desk, playing Dig Dug or whatever important people play. Dig Dug. I don't know where that came from.
What is it?
You remember that video game, Rick? Dig Dug?
No, I heard Big
Arcade.
Dog. Yeah,
What'd you say?
I know Debo's the big dog, but I didn't ever heard of Dig Dog. I took that as not a compliment.
Dig Dug. It's a video game from the 80s, like Donkey Kong, that era.
Oh, I
Dig
did.
Dog. All right. Anyway, number 5. Let's go with Rick first, Debo, just so we know what his is. His is Malik Neighbors at number 5. So I get it. My number 5 is much better. Mr. Ladd McConkey.
Oh,
So we'll go through these, and then you can be angry about who
Okay.
did make it or who didn't make it. Number 4 for Rick, Bucky Irving. Love it. Running back out of Oregon, now with the Buccaneers. And my number 4, Mr. Bo Nix. All right, number 3 for Rick, that very same Bo Nix. And my number 3, and a spoiler alert, this guy didn't make your list. Joe Alt.
Oh,
3 for
God.
me.
Yeah, great. It'll be the first time since football's been invented that a offensive lineman would win Rookie of the Year. That's in the where's the dumb bucket, Debo? Let's get the dumb bucket.
This is with the first pick, offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year candidates. Number 2 for Rick, Brock Bowers. Automatic fail. Who do you think my number 2 is?
Oh God, I can't even imagine. If it's not Brock Bowers, you need to be shot. Unless you went
not
with
Brock
Jaden
Bowers.
Daniels. Jaden Daniels.
It's Jaden Daniels. Number 1 for Rick is Jaden Daniels. My number 1, Debo, is actually Zach Frazier. It's not Brock Bowers. What are you doing? Yep. So I had Brock Bowers number 1. And Debo and I were talking about this. I know historically tight ends don't win it, and wide receivers don't win it, and running backs haven't. The last time running back won it, I think, was 2012. I think it was your guy, Adrian Peterson. Who was more valuable to their team than Brock Bowers?
I had a receiver win it one year, Percy Harvin.
Percy Harvin. What year was that? Was that after AP?
Yeah,
Nice.
I had
Well done.
two.
All right.
Two Rookie of
Cool.
the Years.
Thank you for that.
And I should have had a third when Justin
Got
Jefferson
screwed.
got screwed by Justin Herbert, or he should have been one.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
And believe it or not, he didn't win it, but he was in the running, was Cordero Patterson, his rookie year.
Now with the Steelers, had a fumble on Sunday. Not in his finest form, but that's okay. Yeah, that would have been amazing. You're pretty good at this drafting thing.
Nah, just take a guess like everybody else.
Explain to me why Brock Bowers isn't the most important person to his team, rookie-wise or perhaps otherwise, outside of Josh Allen.
Because Jaden Daniels and the way he's played at quarterback, do you think the Commanders would have the record they have without Jaden Daniels at quarterback?
No.
Brock Bowers has a major impact. The only playmaker, really, on the whole dang Las Vegas Raiders team. So, but they're 2-10 or whatever they are now.
Yeah, that is true. They had the first overall pick. That's how great they're playing. So Brock Bowers can't.
Jaden Daniels
took
the Commanders from the depths of the number 2 overall pick to a playoff team. That's why I go with Jaden Daniels. I do recognize Brock Bowers and what a unique talent he is. And if I'm not mistaken, does he lead the whole entire NFL in receptions?
I think so.
I know he broke Sam Laporta's record last year for number of receptions. But to me, the quarterback, Jaden Daniels, touches the ball every snap. And
so this award cannot, whether it's the official or the with the first pick version, cannot include offensive linemen for dominating like Joe Alt has.
No, with first pick, we can do anything. We can do whatever we want to do in a sandbox. Any castle you want to make. Your castle just fell. You didn't use wet sand. You used dry sand.
I used the dumb bucket sand.
Yes, the dumb bucket sand with no water in it to form a shape, if that makes sense.
All right, well, let's call in the ivory tower. Debo, who grade these top fives and tell us which one you like the best.
Let me fire this back up. Was getting defense ready.
Oh, sorry. Putting you on the spot here.
And I really almost went with Ladd over Neighbors.
Debo fires that back up. I'll read our honorable mentions. Of course, I did more than one because I'm, I like to work hard while you just mail it in. You said Marvin Harrison Jr. No shocker there. That's in your contract. You had to say Marvin Harrison Jr. I had 5 in random order. I had Brian Thomas Jr., I had Marvin Harrison Jr., I had Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
And then I included Dominic Pooney and then Zach Frazier, offensive lineman as well.
Right.
So those were the honorable mentions, and I'm sure there are countless other names. All right, Debo, grade them.
I'm going to give the victory to Rick here just for the lack of an offensive lineman.
I was going to win that one.
I'm surprised you weren't on the Bucky Irvin train like I am.
I do like Bucky Irvin. And the running backs, they're slim pickings. Tyrone Tracy's been good, but he plays on a terrible team in New York.
Bucky Irvin took Tampa's offense to another level this year.
And that's the thing. I was just looking at some of these rookie running backs in particular to see where they were drafted. A lot of these guys are day 3 guys that come in and can help you right away, so you don't have to take them top 30, top 50, top 70. You can wait till Saturday and get a bunch of guys that can certainly be helpful. Bucky Irvin, Tyrone Tracy, both day 3 guys.
Was Drake May a consideration at all? This isn't necessarily a winner's column award. Normally you're not a bottom 5 team when you win Rookie of the Year, but just wanted to see how close he got.
He didn't enter my conversation, not because he hasn't played well, just because he hasn't played a lot. And these other guys I thought have sort of flown under the radar, the offensive lineman in particular. And Brian Thomas Jr. has done it the entire season. Marvin Harrison's played the entire season, has gotten hot more recently. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Rick, myself, and we did not put.
Let me show you the current Rookie of the Year odds.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess the top?
I think
3 in order.
Bo might be first. Is that right?
No, I'm saying my top 3 are. I'm guessing Bowers, Jaden, and Bo. I think those are the top 3.
Think about the bettors and the quarterbacks a little bit more.
Jaden, Caleb. This is up to date? Oh, no, sorry. Jaden, Bo, and then Brock. Sorry, I was reading the wrong direction. Okay, so Jaden, Bo, and Brock. Are those the 3 you mentioned, Rick?
Those are my top 3.
And Vegas agrees with you. I thought Bo might sneak ahead. It's close, relatively close.
Rick just has Bowers ahead of Nix.
I have Bowers ahead.
In the odds, Nix is ahead of Bowers.
Yeah, but
it's a 2-person race. It's Jaden and Bo.
So
And I'm putting my dollar on Bo since I can win $230 instead of losing $270.
right, plus 230, minus 270 for normal people out there. Well, let me ask you this: you had Bo third, and I had Bo fourth. Why didn't you have him first or second?
Who?
Bo Nix, because he's
Because
outplayed
he's not
everybody.
as good as my guys. That's
Hey,
why.
Just asking. He certainly exceeded expectations.
Bucket question. Let's go.
That one in the bucket, Debo. All right, let's go to defense.
I like the dumb bucket segment. We got to have the
That's-
dumb bucket. That's a new one, Debo.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna write that down. You think you're funny, and Claire laughs at your jokes. That's literally the funniest thing you've ever said. The dumb bucket thing. So I'm writing that down. And I'll probably end up getting a prop that has a dumb bucket on it, so you can tell me when to put it in there. We'll get a little.
Well, you could be like my wife and just say, I don't know what pops into your head and when it pops in, but crap pops into your head that is stupid.
I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna get a dumb bucket for the show. I'll send one to your house, and your wife can just throw pennies in it every time you say something that aggravates her.
Well, you better send a big one then.
Hey, I'll pay for that addition.
Yeah, that might be that 10-gallon bucket from.
That's a dumb bucket question. That is legitimately the funniest thing you've ever said. All right, here we go. Defensive Rookie of the Year with the first pick edition. Rick and Ryan. Rick, your guy at number 5. Again, you're paid to say this, so you had to say it. Mr. Cooper DeJean.
Where's our thing?
He's got to get the buttons.
Okay.
He's got to get the hamster wheel rolling. Devo
Yeah.
got it. So Cooper DeJean there. Spoiler alert, Cooper DeJean made my honorable mention, although he's had a really good season, and he adds a element in the
return game. That's why I put him in there.
Yeah. You know what Deeb and I were chuckling about? You know who lit him up last weekend? Your guy, number 19, Mr. Adam Thielen.
Yes, he did.
He looked
had
like a
little
completely
rough go
different
in the
player,
start.
Adam Thielen did. And Bryce.
Bryce is has Pete on the Bryce train yet or no?
He conceded that you know what, he's playing pretty good.
If Leggett
how
didn't
nervous
drop
were
that
you?
damn, he would have had another game-winning tying touchdown. He's done
Fantastic
that for,
play
yeah.
right before the 2-minute warning in the end zone where he evaded tackles and threw the ball. It may have been to Thielen to the left. Had the dumb interception at the end of the first half, but otherwise, Debo, how nervous were you about the Panthers winning that game?
Not very.
Oh,
look
you
at this
kidding
guy.
me? If Leggett would have caught that ball at the end of the game,
That ball in the end zone.
yeah,
To tie the
it
game.
would have been over.
There was a minute left.
No, come on. All
They
you
were down
guys do
8,
is-
so they would have had to gone for 2.
yeah,
No,
they
it
were
was
on 6.
16-22. They would have won.
yeah, they would have won.
Oh,
Panero's been shaky.
Deebo's got some confidence. Okay. Yeah, Cooper's good against everyone not named Adam Thielen, which is hilarious because
And
Adam,
I'm holding off my honorable mention, but you would be very proud of my honorable mention that we'll get to at the end.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. My number 5, Tarheeb Steele, baby.
Oh, God.
What are you talking about? This guy, I was telling Debo, didn't say one word. We didn't utter that young man's name once last year during the draft process, I don't believe. 5th round pick out of Maryland. I don't think, I went back and looked. I have to double check. I don't think he got invited to any All-Star games. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
He's had a great year for an unknown.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We should have known. That's on us. But he's starting. He's playing a ton. He plays outside. He plays in. I went back and watched some of his targets. He had an interception against Jameis. Had another PBU against Jameis where he batted it to his teammate Elijah Molden in the end zone. Had 2 picks last week against Kirk Cousins. One was a pick 6. One in which he came off a vertical route and undercut the out route in front of him. He's playing some high-level ball. So he's been fun, man. Credit to him for balling out. They had a matchup against Cortland Sutton. They had a matchup against my guy Michael Wilson early in the season. Making plays. Love it.
That's a good
Also-
one. I'll give you credit there.
Thanks.
I'll give
I
credit where
appreciate that,
credit's due.
Put that one in the smart bucket, Debo. Next up at number 4 for Rick. I think his name's Demarius Chop Robinson.
Yes.
10-pound baby when he was born. They can't stay healthy at the edge rush position. Jalen Phillips is banged up yet again. Chop's been coming along. I don't hate that. I didn't have him in my top 5. I'll let you know that, but I get it.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. But I'm glad you get it. You always say you get it, but you don't, or else you'd
Sometimes I do.
do. No, because you would do better.
You know, my wife says,
What?
fake it till you make it. So I'm just faking it till we get there.
Okay. I just look at a stat: 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 33 quarterback pressure. He's the only edge rusher legit that they have. Now their defense played like dog doo-doo last week against the Jets. But this kid he's the Gore and Jesse category that he was at Penn State is showing up here at the NFL level with Miami.
Yep. And it's one thing to have a tough day against, say, Josh Allen. It's something else entirely when you're struggling against that Jets offense, but that's another conversation. My number 4, a young man we were not very high on during the draft process for off-field reasons, but he is consistently stuck it in our face. Weighs more than you and me combined. Devondre Sweat.
Yeah,
Good
good
player.
2-down nose tackle. Yeah.
Yep. You okay with that, even though he only plays 2 downs?
Yeah. For you, that's good.
Yeah. It's in the in between the dumb and the smart bucket, whatever that middle bucket is.
Purgatory bucket.
Purgatory bucket. All right, number 3 for Rick. Everyone's favorite. Big fan of MASH, Braden Fisk.
Yes.
A great example of a guy who went on date in the second round, but is playing like a first rounder. When we did our redraft of the 2024 class a few weeks ago, he was in the first round and no one pushed back. I like that one.
Maybe MASH or something over there. I don't know.
He hit you with the MASH, Rick. Love it. Love it. That was Braden Fisk. If you're listening at the Combine, asked him which show he binged recently. He said, what show did he say? The one with Jason Bateman. Ozark. I said, Rick, have you seen Ozark? You said, no. And Braden Fisk said, he's probably watching MASH.
I liked MASH.
You would like Ozark, too. That's a great show. Number 3 for me, another young man who I think went in our first round, even though he was originally a second rounder because he ran in the 4.6s. Texans cornerback Kamari Lassiter.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll take that as a positive O.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. He's playing opposite Derek Stingley Jr.
I mean, did Fisk make your list? I don't want to know yet, but I'll Debo, this is like a hands down no brainer that I won this one too. The only thing I'll say about Braden Fisk is that the last 2 weeks you can start to see the rookie wall a little bit, which because he's playing a lot of snaps, but he's been playing lights out for them. That again, we talked about it, and the 2 defensive linemen they took are knockout, picks.
Grant.
Yep.
The other thing is, I will give him the benefit of the doubt because last week he was trying to chase down someone who's bigger, faster, and stronger than he is, and Josh Allen. And very rarely do you face an alien like Josh Allen, and a few times he struggled to get to him, and I get it. I mean, good luck trying to tackle that guy. All right, no real drama here, Rick. You and I agree on number 2 and number 1. Quinyon, number 2 for both of us. Debo's Quinyon Mitchell. And number 1, of course, has to be Jared Verse. No real controversy here.
That's not even a contest this year.
No, he's been absolutely lights out. I will say only one of us had him as our edge rush 1. I won't say who. Just saying.
Now,
you want to apologize to me now or later?
No. Yeah.
Never.
Never.
All right. Why don't you tell us your honorable mention? Because I was pleasantly surprised and it warmed my heart.
Yeah, I went with the linebacker from Pittsburgh, Peyton Wilson. And,
yes, sir.
The impact he's had in the passing game and coverage and things like that. And he's playing a lot better. I didn't know his knock was all the knee injuries when he was coming out.
And 2 shoulders.
And 2 shoulders. So he was beat to heck coming out. But kudos to him because he is a really good football player. And I think he's made an impact for the Steelers on the defensive side of the ball.
100%. He's been great in the pass game, and we talked to him at the Combine. He is all about football. He's a solid kid, quiet kid, but football he takes very seriously. And the injuries, he just wasn't sure if he'd be able to overcome them. Knock on wood, he stays healthy, but he's been a game changer. He had that scoop and score last week against the Bengals, and he shows up week in and week out. He was on my honorable mention as well because I have to have all the Steeler rookies on there. My other honorable mentions, of course, Braden Fisk and Cooper DeJean. 2 other names. I'm sort of surprised he didn't sneak in for you because you had him going in the first round in our redraft. Tyke Smith.
Yep. But he's been hurt. I think he's been banged up a little bit recently.
And then a guy that I liked during the draft process, and we weren't sure how fast he was going to be, but played well at Oregon and now is doing well for the Packers when he's healthy. I think he had a concussion last week, had to leave. Evan Williams.
Yeah, we talked about him, I think, but he's had a really good him with McKinney on the other side. Those 2 have been a pretty nice combination at safety.
Yeah, and then Javon Bullard's in that secondary as well, a guy that we talked about a lot during the pre-draft process. All right, Debo, grade this one.
This one is even easier than the offensive one.
Use
so
your
Well, I
brain,
just
not your
wanna-
heart. That's all I ask you.
The 2 Eagles and a Penn Stater on someone's list. I would just ask or say that the odds would indicate that the top of the list in the race for number one is probably a lot closer than you guys say. Minus 105 for Jared Verse and not far behind Quinyon Mitchell at plus 115. And I'll keep pointing out Quinyon still does not have, the counting stats does not have an interception. If he adds one or two in that category by the end of the year, I wonder if voters look at it a little differently.
do you know, Debo, that Quinyon Mitchell has not given up a TD this year in coverage?
I do, and he gave up, we thought he gave up one 2 weeks ago. It looks like a blatant TD allowed by Quinyon, garbage time at the end of the game, and then it was revoked from him. So someone's rooting for him.
Someone's cooking the books. So if you look at the odds here.
Yeah, I'm
Go
looking at
ahead.
the odds here. So I don't know why you're saying it's close. Whether
Yeah, I'd say otherwise.
105, so go 105 plus 15. There's a 120-point swing differential here, Debo.
I don't know
if you can figure out that math or no.
I see what you did. I don't know if it sort of directly correlates, but if people who are listening,
It doesn't, just to be clear, it doesn't.
if you're listening,
Okay, dumb bucket guy when it comes to gambling.
Jared Burns, Quinyon Mitchell, and Chop Robinson are the three biggest favorites. So Rick had all those guys on his list, then Cooper DeJean. Leatu Latu's on there, which is interesting. Hasn't had quite the impact as Jared Burns, certainly. Mike Kamari Lasser is down the list. Evan Williams is down the list. Cam Hart's also playing well. Another Rick guy coming into the draft out of Notre Dame. He's playing alongside Tarheeb still in Los Angeles with the Chargers. And another guy I'll mention, Rick, and this was my preseason bowl prediction. Jonah Ellis, I think I said he would have 8 sacks. He has 5 sacks right now.
Yeah.
Edge rusher for the Broncos by way of Utah.
Yep. Yeah. He's George Payton. If you look at his draft and you go back and regrade the Broncos draft, it's a pretty good draft that he put together last year.
We were skeptical about pick number 12, but Bo Nix is throwing it in our face, as is Sean Payton, and we get it. We own it. All right, Debo, you want to give Rick his rubber stamped A so he can get on with his day and feel better about
I'm
it?
just happy you have Quinyon on the list this time, because last time we did this, you did not.
No. Yeah. Ryan didn't have him on the list. I've always had him on the list.
But I really appreciate the inclusion of Tarheeb still. I think that's a nice way to mix it up, but I'm still giving it to Rick.
Of course.
Put it in the dumb bucket.
Just keep it simple. That's all it is. It's not
Keep it
that
simple,
complicated. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got a new little bit, the dumb bucket. That's going to be getting a lot of use these next 135 days
And beyond.
and beyond. No doubt about it. But don't be mad. It's said with love. By the way, just so you know, before we get out of here, Rick, got an email to the With the First Pick Gmail account yesterday from someone who went through my latest mock draft, probably wrote 1,000 words. And at the very end, they said, I'm just a 16-year-old kid who loves to draft and very angry with my team. I think it's a Giants fan. Maybe we'll revisit some of those of his complaints, because they were actually pretty good. And, he wasn't angry in terms of yelling and screaming at me. He was just had some questions. And it sounded like something you would say to me. So if it makes you feel any better, you have the thought process of a 16-year-old.
Was he the one that paid for the banner to fly around MetLife stick or whatever?
Well, it wasn't Malik Neighbors, so don't ask Malik about it. He made that quite clear in the post-game press conference. All right, Rick, you got things to do. I got things to do. That's a wrap on episode 205. Debo, mock draft on Thursday. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's the goal.
All right. Mock draft on
And
Thursday.
I can call right now to go get that With the First Pick PJ ready to take off so I can get home.
They're gassing it up. You'll be home in time for the mock draft on Thursday. Thanks as always to my guy Rick. Thanks to Debo for producing. Thanks to you guys who watch, listen, and comment. See you Thursday.